Alright, so the first thing that I'm doing here is I'm cutting the front piece of siding for the chicken coop. This is a 4x8 sheet of 1/4" LP siding. This stuff works great. I've used it in the past, and it's really inexpensive for small projects like this. What happened was the blade got bound up because I'm a dum-dum and I forgot to put a brace underneath the board to keep it from binding the blade. So instead I just grabbed a jigsaw because, hey, what the heck, it gets the job done, right? So it ended up working out in the end. That extra piece right there to your right is going to be saved for the right side of the chicken coop later on in the video. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm marking down 4 feet from the top. And you're going to see why in a second, but it's very important that you mark this first if you're hanging the sheet by yourself. I'm going to be using these exterior coated decking screws. They work great, they're not that expensive, and they're actually on sale, which is super nice. So right here you can see I'm putting a screw on that pencil mark that I made earlier at 4 feet, and this is going to be my extra set of hands for holding this board. Because, granted, I can't hold the board in the air and use the screw gun at the same time. I'm just not that strong. So, it acts as an extra pair of hands to hold the board while I get it figured up and lined up on the right side. So what I'm going to be doing is when I put these screws, I'm going to have about 4 of them to a stud, so they're going to be spaced out pretty even. This isn't a super heavy duty project, so it doesn't need to be that overkill, but granted I'm the one building it, so I'm going to make it that overkill. So I've put about 4 screws in each stud. Around door openings and window openings, I put several screws just to make sure that the board doesn't jiggle back and forth when I'm using the saw to cut out the opening. That's what you do in the real world, and this is real world, so it works. Alright, so now it's time to cut out the door. In order to do this, I grabbed a drill bit that was big enough to fit a jigsaw blade through. And I just put about 5 or 6 holes in the front of that thing just so I have enough room to play around with. And then I'm going to take the jigsaw blade, stick it through the hole, and then just drive it around basically until I've cut out the entire door. Granted, a Sawzall would do the exact same job, but I found that using a jigsaw is a lot less jumpy, bumpy, bouncy, vibrating, and pretty much anything else. I'm not even sure if that last one was a word, but the point is, this thing is more precise and accurate. The only downside is you have to watch the blade to make sure that you're not bending it, but as long as you're doing that, this thing works great. Alright, now that the door's cut out, I've grabbed an 80 grit sandpaper disc and I put that on my sander. And I'm just going to make sure that all the sides are smooth and flush with the outside of the door. Now it's time to start working on that right side of the coop. So I just grabbed the scrap leftover piece from the previous sheet that I cut, and then I'm just going to mark it, cut it, and happy trails. In order for me to get the mark that I needed, I had to screw the panel to the wall and then go on the inside of the chicken coop and then measure it with the marker and then take it back off. That is why I only put in like 4 screws on the front just to hold it there in place so I knew that I got the exact measurement, and then I took it back down. That way I didn't have to keep pulling out like 20 screws to take it back off.